everyone, my name is Carly. Welcome to this week's episode of Gallery Watch. Today we are here at the Greg James Sculpture Studio Gallery in Fremantle for the opening of the Wet exhibition. Let's go and take a look to see what some of the local photographers have on display. Here we have Nancy Wilkinson, who's one of the artists. It's her first exhibition here today. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling really anxious, but amazingly, I'm just overawed. I'm excited. It's just such an amazing opportunity, and I'm just loving it. It's just fabulous.
Yeah. So, what is your background with arts?
Well, I've come to art late in life. I started on a course at Central TAFE 3 years ago, part-time doing my Cert 4, and now I'm completing full-time diploma at Central TAFE.
And what do you plan to do once you finish?
I'm still on a journey. I don't know. To this stage, landscape has been my passion. I just love the light, the natural light, and especially photographing in sunrise, sunset, but even during the day, there are amazing times when the light can just be absolutely beautiful, and I just want to photograph it. But I'm on a journey, and just recently I'm learning more and more about portrait photography, and that's the area that I'm really wanting to go in as well. So it's a journey. It's a journey, and it's still all about the light.
So here are your artworks behind us. Which one's your favourite?
I would have to say that my favourite would be this one here, which was taken in a trip to Laos last year, and the Mekong. And this was very, very early in the morning with this little village, amazing little village where, you know, the people hardly have any money. It's just this amazing little village. And here we were staying there and seeing them and how they live. And we were up early wandering around the village, and the sun was just trying to peek through the clouds, and it was very, very misty, and I just, there's a photograph. You know, I just had to keep photographing, and this amazing light just broke through the clouds, and there it is.
Do you always keep your camera on you in case you have it?
I do, and if I don't have my camera with me, I'm beside myself because I can't capture it, so I try to. I've got a little camera in here, just in case. But you know, I have a lovely camera now, and so it's a bit bigger and heavier to cart around.
And do you have a favourite thing or spot in Perth to photograph?
Recently I've enjoyed going down to the South Perth foreshore. There's a lovely body of water there, made even more beautiful actually with a lot of the rains that we had a while ago. And as you can see here with this photograph here, it was just flooded everywhere. And I'm squelching around in the mud, in the water, and I'm just looking at these beautiful, beautiful reflections. And I just, you know, and the light was changing and gorgeous, and so I spent many hours down there photographing that. This here is a lake down in South Perth, and this one here taken at the same spot. Different times of day, different days, and you know, you can see the different colours, beautiful.
Talking to Adam Monk. Adam, how long have you been doing photography for?
Oh, at least 30 years, but professionally at least 20 in various forms.
Okay, and how long have you been presenting artworks like these, and how did you come to be at this exhibition today?
Well, I've had a gallery in Fremantle for the last nearly 7 years. I've been exhibitioning in other galleries around the state for the last 15, and Greg James is a very well-known part of the Fremantle art scene, and he invited me a couple of weeks ago. So I got to know Greg just by being around Fremantle and getting to know the local artists and the...
Usually you are a landscape artist, but I noticed that there's a little twist with all of these artworks. Would you like to explain that? 3
out of the 4 are what I call naked landscapes. Well, they're all naked landscapes, but these 3 have an extra ingredient of the naked in them. The first one is quite obvious. The other 2 you really have to look. It's just a juxtaposition of us being humans in our environment and how we fit. Normally we don't fit at all. Normally we change the environment to fit us. Well, this is how we fit. in the environment, as it were. So you have to look in these two. The figure is not the predominant part of the image. It's a very small part of the image, as we are in actual fact in the environment, a very small part of it as well.
Okay, so the centre photographs have been taken in the Kimberleys. Where have the two on the outside been?
Well, the one on the right here was the Blackwood River in the southwest of Western Australia, and that was really the inspiration. That's actually a campsite where I camp whenever I can down there, and that's an unnamed model. And that scene just happened. That it looks like a setup, but it's not. She was literally going for a swim and it's cold, so she was just testing the water with her toes at the time. And I was actually up at the campfire, and I saw that, and I just grabbed a camera, and so it's a little bit of a voyeuristic moment, that one.
And this one on the end, where is that taken?
That's also Margaret River. That's Redgate Beach. And that's after a storm had been raging down there in winter for 3 or 4 days of wild weather. And that's the clearing storm. So it's just the sun's coming out, and the waves are still a bit crazy. The ocean's still very tumultuous. And the light's just coming out at sunset. And that was the end of the storm.
What are your plans, upcoming plans?
Well, to travel more and to take more images, to diversify my library and to see more things. Really, it's all about being in places.
Talking to Roger Garwood. Now, Roger, could you please tell us about your artistic career, where you've been and how long you've been making beautiful artwork for?
Well, I think you'd call me an accidental artist, because my background is in news media. I was with a French magazine for years, Paris Match, covering news and all that silly stuff. And I think the art side of photography has become peripheral to me. And in particular, the business of printing on traditional materials, which is a great process.
What photographer would you describe yourself as?
Look, I think I could say I was brought up in that old tradition of what we call street photography. I just love walking around, photographing what you see happening in the streets. And there's an interesting comparison between street photography and landscape photography, because you have absolutely no control over either of them. You know, there's no way you can control the weather and the conditions and the lighting. There's no way in the street you can control what people are doing and things. So I think you need to have a sort of subconscious feeling of when things are going to fall into place. So if you see people in the street, you'll know immediately, you think, oh, there's a picture going to happen here. You know, I've been known to follow a bunch of nuns for hours, because, you know, sooner or later they're going to make a picture. So, but this sort of thing is probably much better fun, because you can see there could be a picture there, hence camping there. I was down in the southwest with a friend, and we'd been at the pub the night before, and I woke up and I could barely think, and I saw this mist coming through the background. Oh no, God, no. Mists disappear very quickly. And I said, Ted, wake up, it's true. Anyway, we grabbed the gear, and I got off a couple of frames of this, and happily it turned out very well. And 3 days later, this is divine retribution, okay? The pub burnt down. And I was there actually a few weeks. This was taken 85, so that's a long time ago. I was there a few weeks ago, and I went and checked this spot, and the tree's fallen over. So nobody will get this picture again. So that makes me feel a little bit good.
So, Roger, what are your plans? What are your upcoming plans for the future?
Well, I don't have big plans. It was Picasso who said, if you know exactly what you're going to do, why would you bother doing it?
Now we're talking to Brad Pettit, the Mayor of Fremantle. So, Brad, why is art so important to Fremantle and the community here?
I think in many ways the arts in Fremantle are kind of at the heart of what Fremantle is. I think it's what almost for me is one of the really special things about Fremantle. We've got a sense of culture and the arts being at the core of Fremantle's identity. And I think that's probably been that way probably since the 1970s. You've got that real sense of a lot of creative people moved down to Fremantle when real estate was much cheaper, and really made Fremantle a bit of a home to the arts in Western Australia. So it's really important to us now, but I guess the challenge now is when you've got much more expensive real estate, how you keep artists living and working and exhibiting in Fremantle, and that's where the council comes in, trying to make sure that still happens.
What do you see happening with the future here in Fremantle and with this arts centre?
So this precinct where we are today is called the J Shed, and it forms really part of a broader precinct that we're starting to emerge with Kodogo, Arthur's Head, the J Shed, and all the art source spaces in the old Customs House, where I'm hoping we can develop a real artist precinct here where we can actually make it a real hub where artists can work and exhibit and actually mentor each other, and you get a bit of a place where people will come to see working artists within Fremantle. So that's our vision for this area, and we hope to see that kind of strengthen over the next few years. I mean, I think what you've actually got here in Greg James's studio is a great example of what we'd like to see more broadly across this area.
Don't go anywhere. We'll be back very soon with more from the Greg James Sculpture Gallery. Welcome back to the Wet exhibition here at Fremantle. Now we're talking to John Austin, who is the photographer behind these black and white photos. John, can you tell us a bit about the inspiration you've had for these photographs?
Well, the landscape ones are a response to water in the Carr forest where I live. I'm working with water now rather than forest because I documented the defence and destruction of the Carr forest for about 10 years from 1994, and it's a kind of a difficult place to go into now, knowing that there's so little of it left. I mean, with logging continuing, so I'm tending to work now with water, both in deep river and the coast and inlets, such as Broke Inlet, or around the corner there's an image from Esperance. It's from with the woman Alana, who I worked with for years, and these are much more quiet images, well, apart from the two splashy ones, and they're much about a very long, drawn-out portrait series of her. And this one's where she was covered in graphite, which gives a sheen to the skin. That's the texture you can see there, and the shell was in contrast to the darkness of the graphite on the skin, and also, well, you know, nautilus shell has a whole set of meanings and references within art anyway for years. They have for a long time. The nudes here are from the mid-90s, and the current work is all work with a 10:8 camera, but it means I haven't got it here with me, but it's a big camera that takes negatives this size. So from that you can either produce really delicately toned contact prints or make huge enlargements that still have a great tonal delicacy, because every time you enlarge an image you lose that delicacy, and it's about the quality of lenses and films, and not about sharpness. Sharpness is kind of irrelevant when you get to a big camera size, but then all the other qualities become important, particularly tonal smoothness. So I like to show things with as great and sensitive and subtle a tonal delicacy as I can, which means I lug around cameras that weigh 36 kilos, but that kind of keeps me young.
Talking to Tanya. Tanya, can you please give us some detail about your background as an artist?
I have always been interested in any form of artistic expression ever since I was a child. I can't remember exactly when, but it's always just been part of my life. And I guess probably the easiest expression for me was having a camera. It was quick, and I could capture little moments. I just remember going on camp, I think when I was 7, and had my camera with me, and I look back on some of those little instamatic shots, and clearly I was very motivated by visual beauty back then. So I've just always carried on with it my whole life. And
could you please talk us through these 4 photos behind us?
well,
Where the inspirations come from and what exactly they are?
they're all quite different stories, really. I suppose the bottom picture with my daughter, who is obviously the most important part of my life, she's a constant source of inspiration, and I saw this moment of when she was in the shower, which was just lovely and joyful and free, and it also, when I looked at it afterwards, reminded me of a sort of an old cracked oil painting. So I just thought it was a lovely image. Our cat, who is a lovely companion at home, was sleeping very beautifully one day, and I just took a series of photographs of him, and I just think they're tranquil and soft and lovely to look at. And the top 2 were probably taken during a very painful part of my life as well, which was, during great sort of emotional turmoil. I was in Pemberton for this particular shot, and just the simple beauty of it struck me. And the one over the ocean, I was struck by the loneliness of the ship and sort of heading out over gauge roads, and the lovely light coming through the storm clouds that sort of, at the time, sort of spoke to me.
Do you have any upcoming plans for your art after this exhibition?
No plans set in stone, but just continue doing what I'm doing. And apart from taking photos, I have a very busy life, so I, squeeze in photography when I can. And I would hopefully continue exhibiting, and it's been wonderful actually being part of Greg James's studio. He's been incredibly supportive, and the group of artists here have a source of inspiration to me and to other upcoming artists too. So it's been a tremendous privilege to be part of the J Shed.
We're talking to Greg James. This is your studio. How long have you been here for? And can you tell us some more information about it?
Sure. I moved into the studio in 1992, and at that time we moved into essentially an empty shed that had no power, no water, no bathroom, nothing. And so quietly over the last 20 years, we built it up into a working professional studio. Primarily it's a functioning sculpture studio, but at the same time I have and always have had a policy of including other people in my studios. So as we've gone along, I'd like to be able to perhaps have people here doing residencies or trainees. They're clapping the music, by the way, which is just fantastic, and also having music here. So the exhibition today is a continuation of what I've really been doing for 20 years.
Now, could you tell us more about your work and your history with art?
I guess a great deal of my work over the last 25 years, I guess, has been quite a bit of public art pieces, figurative public art pieces. As some people would say, probably a few dead white males, and some not so dead. My work also includes things like the Fisherman's Monument in Fremantle. There's a few in St George's Terrace, but also other works for private collections, a fair amount of work for schools. That varies, and also smaller works for collectible sort of pieces that I send to various galleries and exhibit.
What's your vision for how your studio will progress in the future? not just the studio though, but also in Fremantle. What can you see happening in the future?
Well, I think we've got a great opportunity here around the J Shed and the Bathers Beach area. There is not only the artists in J Shed, and there's Jenny Dawson Ceramics next door to me. Jenny's also been here 20 years and has produced about 50 major public artworks from those studios. This studio's produced probably another 30. So there's a lot of activity that happens here. The studio that was previously Joan Campbell's has since her death, it's changed but continues in an artistic kind of vein, with it now being Cadogo Art House. And Joanna Robinson there's running a whole lot of fabulous courses, doing a lot of work with Indigenous people, and also providing a venue for a lot of other artists. So within the Bathers Beach area, we're sort of working together and trying to promote this area. And also Glenn Cowan's is a studio up next to the Roundhouse where he has underwater photography. Again, fantastic work. And so collectively we're all very interested in promoting what we already have, taking the good things and letting that grow. We've been here for 20 years. We'd like to be here another 20 years and continue making a difference and making a positive contribution to the art in Fremantle and Western Australia, and quite frankly to anywhere else. This is my life. This is what I do. Today's been a fantastic day, fantastic crowds, and we've had a fantastic group of photographers working together to bring a theme together. I think the people that have been here have enjoyed it, and I certainly hope they come back and see the rest of the exhibition. It'll run till the 23rd of October. Well worth seeing, I believe.
Thank you very much, Greg. Everybody is loving the exhibition here today. All the hard work has paid off. So we wish you best of luck for the future.
Thank you very much.
It's okay. Thank you everyone for watching. This concludes our episode of Gallery Watch for this week. But make sure you tune in next week, and if you get the chance, make sure you come down to Fremantle to see the exhibition yourself. It's definitely worth the visit. See you next week, same time, same channel.
Heads turning, the lights flashing out.